It's a plot to assassinate Jinshi. And Lock-On knows who Jinshi is. So Lock-On is plotting to assassinate Jinshi. I'm assuming to get him out of the way so that he can then buy Maomao. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with another episode of the Apothecary Diaries. Sorry, I did the I'm Theta thing. I looked up and saw myself looking at my own thumb as though I thought I was about to poke myself in the eye. We are here, and we have a board, and the board, well, actually, I just realized I got stuff that I need to point out on the board that's not on the board changelog itself. Let's look at the main thing, which is, actually, I don't think I put it up here. Sorry, there's elements that I am editing different parts of the board differently, and that's unhelpful. We'll look up here, and then we'll look back down at the bottom one in a second. I added the Verdigris House guy and Maomao's mother. I added Suri's name, now that we know Suri's name. And I connected Maomao to Lock-In with a green line, because, you know, they're tied together now. Which I think is more representational on this board down here. Yeah. I would also like to point out, unrepresented on the board changelog, that I put this little thing together. Very specifically because I keep getting confused about the stuff that I already know. That's how in-depth I am now. To the point that I have so many theories about stuff that the amount of it is getting mixed-matched in my head. I think somebody pointed out the other day that they thought it was funny that I make these boards for every show that I watch. But then I watch so many shows that I still get names mixed up. Anyway, I really wanted to encapsulate all the relationships and the important ones to my theories and all the things that I desperately keep trying to remember is going on. So obviously we got like Lock-On, who was in love with Maomao's mother. Obviously a white line now because fuck knows. But the blue line representing that connection here is what brought Maomao on board, right? But also that Lu Men is her adopted father, so blue line. But again, Mei Mei seems to be friendly to Lock-On and possibly, according to Maomao, in love with him. No idea what Lock-On thinks of the situation, other than the fact of what I thought was the breakdown of the opening that I did, that I thought he was infatuated with her. But since I'm not exactly sure about that, the purple line points to him and not from him to her. Of course, Jinshi is infatuated with Maomao, so I've added that purple line in that relationship as well. Lock-On does not seem to be friendly to Jinshi, as per the threat that seemed to be leveled at the end of last episode. Veiled threat as it was, threat nonetheless. I've expressed that Anshi might be an enemy of Lu Men. Again, there's the idea that Lu Men may have been the cause of her child's death, even though, you know, whatever happened. And blamed him, broke his leg, exiled him from the rear palace. But also, I don't know, the element that she turned him into a eunuch so that he could travel abroad and learn to be a doctor. I don't know. There's just the relationship between those two reads as enemy to me. Maybe not, maybe slightly influenced by the previous ideas that I've had that Lu Men might be in a conspiracy of his own against the rear palace. I don't know. And of course, we have everything down here as previously represented. The thing that keeps coming up to me is that I keep forgetting who is whose child. I always remember that Jinshi is actually the Emperor's son. That Jinshi is actually the Emperor's son. But every time I look at the board, I keep forgetting because I keep thinking of a third child that doesn't exist. Maybe because one of my previous theories was that there was a third child or something. Um, but yeah, I guess maybe the dotted line thing is what's confusing me every time. That the dotted line represents what everyone thinks versus what everybody knows, or sorry, what everyone thinks versus what is. The dotted line here representing that Jinshi would be considered Anshi and the former emperor's kid, which seems wrong to me right now, but again, the element that I made this board not to be confusing, and I'm already confused. When in fact, according to this blue line, he is actually the Emperor and Adu's kid, making him the son of the Emperor rather than the Emperor's brother. Um, and, child 2, dotted line, representing that it's not actually the Emperor and Adu's kid that died, but in fact, follow this blue line, the former Emperor and Anshi's kid, which would have been the Emperor's brother. Which I guess technically I should have put a blue line from the Emperor to Child 2, but as per the entire existence of this board, or this segment of the board, I'm already confused, and I don't need that adding to the confusion. I think you can backtrace a bunch of these lines and just be able to figure that out from there. Like I said, otherwise everything else represents exactly what it did before, and hopefully this will allow me to better remember in the future the elements of things I'm already starting to get confused for some reason. I think also just talking it out once in a while helps me to remember. Alright, otherwise, that was the board, and I, of course, come with notes. Okay, so it was Maomao's mother that almost killed her as a baby. I thought the curve of the face looked like lock-ons, but that clearly wasn't right. The hand holding the baby's arm clearly has the disease marks that we see on her later. The hair is hanging in such a way as to not denote lock-on, and the pose would seem to imply that the non-knife wielding hand is the hand holding the baby's arm. For a moment, I was thinking that about Maomao's arm scarring, and if the possibility of it actually having originated from this moment. I know Maomao explains it away in flashback as her experiments, and she looks at her hand after waking up. The bandage visible, but also like she's looking at her pinky. Nothing seems to be missing. Maybe I'm looking too deeply into it. Pa Rin has to choose one or the other, and as I brought up, there is a man flexing pretty massively in the opening, back to back with her appearing. Pretty sure it's Lihaku, but I think I offered up that it could be Ba Sen as well. Either way, I think it's clear that that is what is being referred to. So, Lu Men sends Maomao to aid with her mother's condition. Is that a result of him being hired by the Vertiger's house? His adoption of Maomao and seeking to do well by her mother? Or possibly my previous conspiracy about Lu Men being involved in more? In this case, is Lu Men involved with Lock-On? Maomao's mother almost killed her as a baby. I'd assume where Lu Men comes in as an adoptive father. Otherwise, I don't see how Maomao would have survived with a woman that still hatefully chased her out when she was grown. It seems she still hasn't been able to come to terms with what had been done to her, let alone the effect syphilis is having on her mind. Maybe I'm not wrong about the Maomao thing. It's in a completely different context now, but it seems Lock-On is certainly moving in that direction. It also seems, knowing what he's done before, that preventative measures would be taken by those with concern about what he might do. Is that how Maomao will get into trouble the next time on preview that they showed us? Surin's speech. I know she was likely talking about Jinshi and how his life is gone, but a part of me has to wonder if she isn't referring to Maomao herself, or Lu Men via the Maomao connection. Her conversation with Maomao is just one of those things that feels like an innocuous character moment on the face of it. But the show is filled with things that seem passing in the moment and turn out to be a clue later. The thing is, I think we are past the point about hinting about jinshi. I think it's expected for the audience to know that by now. So Surin saying it can't be hinting at that. Lock-on seems high-ranking, but not noble. Thus, his connection to Maomao doesn't feel like it would imply any change of status for Maomao if discovered. So, just a bit of a mystery for me. Suri gets repeated medicines for the guardhouse, smells like herbs and smoke, seems to dislike Maomao, is doing things others think a court lady shouldn't be doing. Not so much a this is what I think thing, just taking notes about this line of thought that I don't know what it's indicating just yet, but I need for future reference. I'm not sure what is being implied about jinshi. Potato flour as medicine, takes long baths, burns incense, vegetarian diet. Maomao brings up a purification ceremony, and it does seem like jinshi is performing a ritual in the opening, and we did talk about the ritual item before. We are certainly building towards something, just not sure what. It's interesting that Gao Shun doesn't seem to recall Lu Men when when trying to place a eunuch doctor that might have served before. Especially since we know Gao Shun has been working long enough for him to have been around when Lu Men was working. Given the alignment of when Lock-on was a contemporary of his in the case he asked for Maomao's help with, involving the poisoned seaweed. Beyond everything else, that episode helps to establish Gao Shin's term of service, beyond also knowing that he was around when Jinshi was a child. And my last note here, Lock-on knows who Jinshi really is, not so much a revelation as a note amongst notes, in case I forget while trying to remember everything else. Which, as per the board thing, is a concern in my mind, because this is literally turned into a conspiracy web of relationships. I cannot think of a more necessary concept board, in fact. Like, some of these don't pan out to anything at the moment. I still think more is happening with Feng Ming, even though she's dead, and the show has moved on past her. But intention, motivation. I think more is at stake than her loyalty to Adu. I think she may have had a hand in the baby switching stuff. Well, I don't think she did, obviously. The fact is that I don't think Lumen is so absent as to not have known it was going on. And in the same way that who orchestrated such a thing, if not either Lumen or Feng Ming? In which case, Feng Ming's accidental honey thing wasn't so accidental. In which case, more motivation than was expressed on screen can be attributed to her, which means if the show didn't itself explain itself that well, then that might be something to be held on to for the future. More political motivation at play, I guess. That, or I could have just been dense at that point and I let it slip by me. I don't know. That said, though, I believe that is everything leading up to the episode, so let's go ahead and hop on in and see what we get.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Again, I still think there's a lot of stuff that has been set up that has not yet been fully paid off. The Feng Ming thing obviously is one of them. But, We still got like the pure consort who was introduced and still hasn't like, what's her deal? I thought maybe the disguise thing was going to come into play as maybe she's somebody that we know that came back, but obviously I don't think that is the case. I don't think they would be so blatant as to like bring somebody back. It's got to be somebody new with their own motivation. But hell, how long ago was it that I was bringing out the Lady Gakio as having her whole thing? Like, I thought she was either a spy or something like that. And technically, I haven't been proven wrong, but that's like one of those I have no evidence. Well, I guess technically I don't have any evidence, but I have a bunch of shit that points in that direction. But so long as she never does anything, then technically I'm wrong, but it can always be proven right. But I just think there's a lot of that going on in characters. My theories about Lu Men, my theories about Gyakio, my theories about Feng Ming. That technically this show has an infinite repertoire of stories that it could still tell. Medium ceremony? As in somebody who sees the spirits, or as in a larger than small, smaller than large ceremony? Yeah, how are we going to shrug off Lakan?
李白様、どうしました？
困ったことが起きた。
困ったことですか？
前に倉庫でボヤがあったろ。
お
お。同じ日に別の倉庫で盗みがあったみたいなんだ。
Oh, so the explosion was a
あ
distraction.
の時の騒ぎに乗じたとしか考えられない。
火事場泥棒ですか？何が盗まれたんです？
But why would they leave behind
人目を避けた方がいいわ
an
けか。
expensive pipe as evidence?
細具がなくなったんだよ。しかも一つじゃないらしい。
そんなずさんな管理だったんですか？
いや、俺もわかんねえんだよ。
Okay, well, all roads are connecting that ceremony in the opening.
今の管理者は基本は把握しているのでしょう？
それがちょっと前に食中毒になっちまった。
Seaweed? Gonna be more seaweed poisoning?
食中毒？
鉱物の海藻に当たったまんま意識が戻んなくて仕事に復帰できねえ状態だから困っちまったよ。
どこかで聞いた話だ。それってもしかして珍味好きの管理の話ですか？
なんで知ってるんだ？
Oh no, Maomao is being connected to everything, and Lakan is manipulating Gao Shun into getting her connected to everything without Gao Shun knowing. And she's still holding onto the pipe, which is evidence.
片物で有名なおっさんだったのは覚えてるんだけど、名前が出てこねえ。甘党だったとかそういうのは覚えてるんだけど。
The guy with the salt in his alcohol. Yeah, Kunin.
あ、それだそれ。っておい、なんでお前知ってんだよ。
いろいろありまして。以前jinshi様から聞いた。
Also related to that guy whose images I put side by side.
これがすべて偶然の重なり？一つ一つは事故に見えるが、もし何かの目的のためにわざと引き起こされたものだとしたら、それで私に何かご用ですか？
それだ。本題、ジョーちゃんから預かってたこれなんだけどよ。
Oh, do you think that guy?
ボヤの時の。
返そうとしたら持ち主に。
Do you think that guy is the guy who was looking for Lakan when the fire happened? Then why was Lakan there investigating?
なんかどっかの彼女にもらったらしいんだ。
彼女にですか？
変だと思わないか？なんでそう。
Oh, it's gonna be Suri?
こんなもんやるんだ。なんでも倉庫番のやつ、暗い中一人で歩いてた彼女を場外まで送って行ってやったらしいんだよ。
I mean, that's Suri's dress right there, obviously.
こんな立派なものをもらったらすぐに使いたくなるかもしれませんね。ボヤを起こして警備が薄くなった隙に別の倉庫に忍び込む。 初めからそれを狙って彼女が倉庫場
So I was about to say
に
Suri is connected to Lock-On, but I don't think there's any connection yet between Lock-On and this
その
stuff.
彼女って。
ああ、一応詳しく聞いたんだが、襟巻きをして顔が隠れていたらしい。
もしかするとあらかじめ顔を隠していたのかもしれませんね。
ああ、ただ女にしては上背があって、なんか薬の匂いがしたそうだ。
Oh, spelling it out right away. I mean, obviously it was Suri. I don't feel like super intelligent for having figured that out.
薬の匂い。長身の彼女。
憶測で物を言っちゃいけないよ。
Yeah, that's my
さ
job.
っき挙げた事故や事件の他に何か不可解なことはなかったでしょうか。
そう言われてもな。調べたら何かあるってわけか。
何かあるかもしれません。何もないかもしれ
Again,
ません。
my conjecture here is that we're framing Maomao.
偶然が2つ重なることはよくあります。3つ重なることもあるでしょう。そうした偶然がいくつも重なってやがて必然になった時、ここにその長身の彼女に似た人物がいたらどうでしょうか。
I think it's the wrong person at the center.
浮かび上がったところで関係ない話だ。
なるほど、お前は見た目によらず賢いな。
李白様は見た目通りバカ力なので、もう少し手加減してください。
I mean, we know that because Pauline is interested.
楽しそうだな。
別に楽しくありませんけど。
では、俺はこれで。
あの武官とは随分仲が良いようだな。
I'm definitely going to be paying more close attention to that in the rewatch to figure out what I think the connections are.
今回の話、ジンス様にも関係がないとは言い切れない。詳しくお話ししてもよろしいでしょうか。
妙なつながりがあったものだな。
はい。
それで何があると思う？
わかりません。一つの事件を確実にというより、
Yeah, why take the ceremonial items
という具合にも見えます。
wants to do something with them before they're supposed to be used, I mean.
どれも事件か事故か判断のつかない案件ばかりです。まだ偶然が重なっただけの可能性も。
God, if we were introducing red herrings to this, I think we're gonna be screwed.
乗り気ではないのか？
乗り気？私は単なる下女ですので、言われた仕事を行うだけです。
ならこういうのはどうだ？先日交易商人のところを回ったとき、
It's a nice touch, holding his robe sleeve so not to dip it into the thing he's drawing.
こういう名だったんだが。
強盗、薬の一種であり牛の胆石。1000いるうちの1頭しかないとされる薬の最高級品。もしかしてそれをくれるというのか？本当か？嘘じゃないだろうな。
Jinshi really knows how to get her engine going.
失礼しました。
やる気になったようだな。
本当にいただけるのでしょうか？
仕事次第だ。情報は逐一やろう。
わかりました。ジンス様の思うままに。
ということでガオシュン、手配を頼む。
これは先日の事件だ。食中毒を起こした缶はレイブのものだったのか。
I was saying, it's the other guy that we know got poisoned by his brother. And what's the connection between his brother and anybody else?
試験勉強を真面目にしていれば。
ここに置いておくぞ。
ありがとうございます。
いや、何かわからないことがあればいつでも聞いてくれ。
これはどんな感触ですか？
ああ、これは祭事を司っているんだよ。
祭事ですか？
Poisoned the guy in charge of ceremonies, stole the ceremonial items.
何か書き物はありますか？ 食中毒の間も後年様も祭事に関わる管理だった。そして
Oh yeah, I forgot they said that Conan was related to it too.
最後を盗み出すためのものなら偶然に見せかけられたこれらの事件が重なり合う必然が起こる場所があるはずだ。ここまで手をかけて盗んだ細具が使われるとすれば祭事でもそれなり
Again, or they're gonna do something to the tools so that when the tools get used,
いつ行われるのか全て調べた方がいいな。
medium or otherwise, medium ceremony Jinshi just talked about at the beginning.
よくみそぎをしていた。
祭事に興味があるならここにいいものがあるぞ。
It's a plot to assassinate Jinshi, and Lock-on knows who Jinshi is,
祭事上の絵ですか？
ああ、
so Lock-on is plotting to assassinate Jinshi. I'm assuming to get him out of the way so that he can then buy Maomao.
天井に大きな柱をぶら下げているんだ。中央の祭壇の上にはヒレが垂れ下がっていて、毎回柱を下ろして祝いの言葉を
As we've seen in the opening,
お詳しいのですね。
which must be then Maomao rushing to warn Jinshi.
レイブでもっとちゃんとした仕事をしていたのさ。上に余計なこと言ったらこちらに飛ばされてしまってね。最初は強度が心配だったんだが、問題ないみたいで安心したよ。
何のことですか？
こんな風に天井から柱をぶら下げるだろ。
That's the item.
それが大きな
The thing hanging on the rope in the middle of the
も
rope.
し落ちたらと思うと心配で。
That's the ceremony item we saw back at the metalworkers episode.
確かに恐ろしい話だ。もし柱を固定する金具が壊れて天井から柱が落ちてきたら、一番危ないのは
So we got stolen and weakened to fall on Jinshi mid-ceremony.
方が犠牲になる。強度の問題。強度。しかし、一体どの細具が盗まれたんだ？こんな重要な細具がなくなれば必ず作り直すはず。作り直す。すみません。この会場で次に祭事が行われるのはいつですか？
いつって、ああ、ちょうど今日だな。
As per the conversation with Jinshi at the beginning.
予想が正しければ、これは長い時間をかけて練られた計画のはず。一つ一つは確実じゃない。でも、いくつも仕掛けることでどれかが重なり合う。
Unfortunately, the spoiler of having seen any advertisement for season 2, Jinshi doesn't die.
あくまで予想だ。予想に過ぎない。でももしその予想が的中していたとしたら。
I've seen nothing but the posters, mind you. I have no actual spoilers, but Jinshi's on the poster.
おい、お前何をしている？
通してください。
ダメだ。
緊急事態です。
お前のような下女が祭事に口を出す気か？
もっともだ。こちらはただの下女で何の権力も持たない。
Lie to him about something and get inside that way?
取り返しのつかないことはいつもそうだ。命の危険があります。祭事を取りやめてください。
お前が決めることじゃない。言いたいことがあるなら、投書箱に文を入れるところから始める。
The hell they have a suggestion box?
それでは間に合いません。
Most people who can't read.
あの祭壇には致命的な欠陥が見つかりました。誰かが工作した可能性があります。ここで私を中に入れなければ後悔することになりますよ。こうして私が危険を解いているのにそれを拒んだのであれば、もしかしてそういうことですか？なるほど。あなたは私を邪魔してことが起こるのを待っているのですね。つまり工作した輩とつながっているとか。
One, not a great play for a guy who's hired to be a brute. Two, what if he was? If he was, all you're doing is incentivizing him to...
こんな小娘にあんな物言いをされたら腹が立つだろう。
Oh,
わ
don't...
ざとそう仕向けたのだから。
I didn't even enter into it. It might be a sexist thing.
騒いでもダメか。こんな小さな騒ぎでは催事は止まらない。大したことはない。まだ気を失うわけにはいかない。気は済みましたか。
Yeah, I don't think even if they killed somebody out here, that would stop the ceremony.
中にやんごとな君の方がいらっしゃるのでしょう。何か起きたら飛ぶのはあなた方の首ではありませんか。催事を中断しろとは言いません。私を見逃してください。偶然ネズミが入ったとでも言って。それなら飛ぶのは私の首だけで済むでしょう。
I mean, is there like not a guard inside you could send a word through that way? Ah, fuck, lock on.
あなた様は。それにしても年若い娘を殴るとはどういうことだろうね。怪我をしているじゃないか。
Yeah, I mean, she is technically the prize he's after.
の言う通りにしてやるってのはどうだい？私が責任を取るよ。
誰がいるのか見たくもない。こんな測ったようなタイミングで。
I mean, is it though? Because he's kind of like letting you ruin his plan.
声の主が誰かなんてどうでもいい。
If it is his plan, I have to assume it's his plan. Or is the could it be the pure consort? The lock-on thing could be completely unrelated. I could be wrong about that. Or is it a double bluff? Is lock-on making her think this is all happening to make her a fool, thus reducing the cost it would cost to buy her? Oh, no, never mind. Sorry, my brain recognized it had like 5 seconds to come up with a new theory, and it was spitballing like crazy. God damn it.
おい。なんでこんな状況になっている？
紳士様、ごいただけますか？
God damn it. Maomao.
それどころじゃないだろう。どうしたんだ？その顔は。
どうして紳士様がここ
I
にいるの？
kind of figured you already figured that one out.
なんでそんな顔をしているのだろう。
Was he planning to die?
すみません。先に足を脱がす。
おいおい、しっかりしろ。目を覚ませ。おい。
Like, he doesn't seem super surprised about what just happened. As though he knew it was going to happen. Sorry, the music played like they wanted me to think that Maomao died or something, and clearly she just passed out. Finally fell unconscious. I have to think that was a lock-on play. God, feel like I'm missing something super important right now. Did the Emperor die or something? I mean, if they think he's the Emperor's brother, then... should we not be, like, rushing a bit faster? Heavy fucking episode. I mean, I apologize that I clearly don't have the same reaction standards that other reactors probably do. You know, flipping out like, oh, how the fuck could you hit Maomao in the face, blah, 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 blah. I'm detail-oriented in the moment. And I just feel like there's something I'm missing here. Everything seems very on the nose, right? That Lock-On is responsible for all this, but in the moment he lets Maomao basically defeat all of his plans. But that also doesn't make sense, because why would he plan all this so long if there wasn't some ulterior motive, unless he isn't responsible? Again, the fact that the Pure Consort is constantly shown to be looking at Jinshi with contempt, that possibly this could be her plan, but we've never, like, introduced anything about her before. And Lock-On really does seem to be, like, our enemy. But then again, it's like, why is... The way that the show is expressing everything to us makes it very confusing to me to understand the emotional beat that's at play. Because it doesn't feel like an emotional beat, it feels like a revelation, and it's like, what revelation am I missing? Okay, hand coming up from inside the thing has to be the opening segment where we see the person sitting up and it looks like somebody rising from the dead. They're also wearing white, and that guy who is in front of Maomao during that next time on is also wearing white. So whatever is happening there is related to that opening scene. Obviously, I thought from my opening breakdown that that scene and the ceremony scene were going to be connected. Obviously not. Also, whatever Maomao suffers through, she clearly heals within one episode. Because we see her like all bandaged up, and then later in the episode, she's just fine and doing stuff. Sorry, the element that I keep talking about, the Pure Consort, and we saw a glimpse of like her eye in the next time on, just drives my theory crafting further that maybe it wasn't Lock-On. Maybe Lock-On is his own evil, and that there's another evil at play. But then again, the fact we know nothing about the Pure Consort drives none of my theory crafting. It's just the element that I could say anything about the Pure Consort, and it has just as much chance of being true as anything else. And I've got nothing for that, right? Like, anything I said about Gyokyo, you know, I could say, oh, actually, Gyokyo has been sending birds to the Pure Consort, letting her know that I've been setting this, this, and this up, and now you can jump in that we've actually pushed Adu out of the rear palace, and now's your time to, you know, swoop in like a hawk on our plot together to kill Jinshi, and be like, that's as true as anything else, right? Because everything I say is just made up at that point. Lock-On is the only one I have motivation for, and motivation is like what, 50% of figuring a thing out. But of course, that's also how you indicate towards the wrong person, right? You look at somebody with motive, but without the means or ability or whatever, and all you have is motive. Now, if multiple people have motive, again, if the pure consort look at jinshi of contempt is for a reason, and we don't know what that reason is, that's unhelpful. I know I've just like completely skipped out on the fact that we've like labeled Suri for everything, but I think Suri is one where we're lacking motivation. Also, when Jinshi comes up as a topic of conversation, she looks nonplussed. There's no read on her that she hates Jinshi. Two, I don't think she has ability. She's not of any high enough status to be able to do anything like that, and it seems like she's motivated by something else to deal with a guardhouse. Of course, that could just be the element of she's getting close to a guard to have then done that thing to cause the explosion. I don't know. Again, I feel like we're juggling plates. Plates on sticks, right? And some of these plates are important, some of them are not, and we don't know by looking underneath the plates which ones are important and which ones aren't. I guess maybe that's the red herring element Maomao may have introduced at the beginning, that some of these things are not important, but the ones that are connected. The note section. I can only imagine what the note section is going to look like next time. It's either going to be like 2 extra long paragraphs or 1,000 small little notes. What I mean at the end about feeling like I'm missing something is how all the ministers are like bowing like that, and Jinshi is wearing the same red on his outfit that he wore when he met with the Emperor. And again, the idea that the Emperor thinks that this guy's his brother and not his son. That element that the ministers might be bowing to him as the Emperor's brother, but the fact that we're getting this music and it's quiet otherwise, and we're just watching Jinshi carry Maomao out, that nobody's reacting in any way, that makes me feel like something else is going on here. It's like, what's the ceremony for, right? Is the Emperor dead? Did the Emperor die off screen and we don't know? And Jinshi is going through a ceremony to become Emperor? And that's why everybody is bowing to him, where we've never seen anybody react that way to him before. Again, this is just some guy who handles the eunuchs and the courtesans and the concubines of the Rear Palace. Then again, I don't remember ever witnessing any ministers or anything before. Like, he was absent during the garden party, so we didn't see this reaction to him there either. I don't know, it just feels like something larger is happening, and then they're putting it into a scene where you think that the read is supposed to be on the emotionality between Jinshi and Maomao, or his carrying her. And then again, dude should be like fucking running, or handing her off to a runner, because she is dripping blood. You can only lose so much blood, by the way. Yeah, I don't know. So much to go over. But I don't think there's enough. I'm just gonna ramble like crazy if I keep going, so I think we're just gonna go into the Maomao's notes. And see if that sheds any more light. I doubt it, but then again, everything in this episode was important. So the Maomao's notes, I'd have to think, would cover something important. Well, let's find out.
Maomao no Hitorigoto.
Oh, right. The cow thing.
塩の過剰摂取による死、海藻の食中毒、爆発、どれも仕組まれた出来事だとしたら、やはりあの患女が。
Well, Suren and that other guy in blue I kept talking about before.
はい、これから書庫で調べ物をしてまいります。
そうか。ところで、豪王という品はそんなに貴重なもの。
One in 1,000 cows, apparently.
よくぞ聞いてくださいました。
Oh, this time she's telling it to Jinshi directly.
業は牛の胆のにできた胆石。希少性が高いことや効能新たかな生薬としてひときわ価値のある特別な存在。金と同額で取引されることもある。
So yes was the answer.
不老長寿の薬、命を養う薬とも言われ、高熱や炎症を抑えるのはもちろん、心臓の働きを高めて健忘予防に
You
も
know
使わ
she's
れる
gonna
とか。
wake up next
おまけに
episode
自
with that
分の
thing next
邪
to
気
her
を払
bed.
う効果が。
おおあ、もう十分だ。
そうですか。
お前の業王に対する情熱は分かった。
私だけでなく、世界中のクス師にとって垂涎の一品でございます。きっと親父も喜ぶはずだ。もし業王が手に入ったら。
I mean, I guess that's the one place you could send it
次
to.
回マンダラゲ、ついにこの騒動の真犯人が。お楽しみに。
The true culprit. It seemed like you were beating on a servant we've never seen before. How unsatisfying would that be? Till we finally figure out who's behind everything, and it's some guy. I was thinking during the Maomao's notes that there is the guy that we've seen. Seems to be a servant for lock-ons before. Sorry, I'm connecting two thoughts together in one sentence. There's the guy who was looking for lock-on during the post-explosion of the warehouse, whatever episode that was. Technically, I seem to recall he was wearing blue, but actually now that I'm looking at the picture of him on the board, he's got long hair. And the guy from the whatever room that Conan died in, and then we see after the seaweed poisoning episode, whatever guy with the blue eyes that we saw there did not have long hair, had actually pretty short hair. Just thought for a second that could have been the guy. Otherwise, yeah, I don't know. The added element of conspiracy on top of conspiracy on top of conspiracy, and they all might be just one giant conspiracy. I don't know. There's a lot going on here. My brain is strained. As much as I like to be right about everything, and as much right as I've actually been so far, there's a crazy level of I think we're starting to get beyond me. At some point, there's going to be one conspiracy too much, and I'm going to start forgetting everything from before. Which I guess is why it's a good thing I'm keeping all these notes. Otherwise, though, again, all I'm probably going to do is ramble if I keep going, because everything I'm going to say is going to keep looping back around on itself, which I've already done a number of times. So, that said, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. So, once again, I have been Theta. This has been Stone-Faced Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stone-Faced Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below, and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?